Hey out there, this is September 30th, 2016. It's a Friday here in Northern California, and it's about almost 17 minutes past 9 o'clock in the morning. And today I'm going to get into a bunch of different stuff as usual. Um, Before I start, I wanted to backtrack to a video I made a couple of months ago now, I guess, sometime in July. I was experiencing trouble with my 2000 Chevy Impala, and 16-year-old car with over 200,000 miles on it. Transmission shifting problems. So you assume, oh boy, you assume the worst. It's a transmission issue, but I thought I had it figured out with a loose connection on the alternator. I mentioned that in the video, but it turned into a long, drawn-out saga, and it's very difficult, to get problems diagnosed with your vehicle. That can sometimes be the biggest expense, because they plug this OBD2 reader into your car. It's a computer connection, and supposedly it gives readouts, but it's like following a chain. Well, here you got this problem, but once you fix that, it might lead to another problem. But anyhow, long story short, I replaced a bunch of stuff myself. I replaced the motor mount, I talked about that, and transmission mount, and a whole bunch of other stuff. And finally, I replaced the oxygen sensors, and it turned out that probably that's what was wrong. And the oxygen sensors caused by them malfunctioning, caused the catalytic converter to malfunction and to fail, basically, because what you get is a bad fuel-air mixture going into your exhaust system, because the computer's out of whack because of the oxygen sensor. So, end of the story is that my advice to everybody is to, when your check engine light comes on, even if it goes back off, don't assume it was a false alarm like I myself did and so many people, because on a high mileage vehicle like that, it's not uncommon for an oxygen sensor to go out. Most vehicles have at least one, and usually two, and sometimes more now, I hear. But the point is that you should have your car, take it in. I mean, it doesn't cost that much. Some places won't charge anything, but you spend 10, 20 bucks, I don't know. But it doesn't have to be particularly expensive. You just need a mechanic you can trust. And so I found out through the School of Hard Knocks, which is so typical for me, is that it's so many guys out there. We read the manual once we can't figure out how to put the thing together. This sort of thing. So anyhow, the best advice I can give you is that, and I know that the condition is resolved now, because I took the vehicle down to Santa Cruz recently to my 40th high school reunion, which was a whole lot of fun, seeing people I hadn't seen for 40 years and still being able to remember them when I was a kid, basically. It was pretty cool, But it was amazing. The women were amazing, and thank God for women. I let them all know how I felt about that, and they're magical creatures. That's all I can say, is that they show a man how he can be really happy, and they can show a man how he can be really sad. They have a lot of power over men. But anyhow, I went back and forth to Santa Cruz, and the condition didn't come back once. So I know, even though it was an intermittent condition, it's gone. It's resolved, because what happened when your catalytic converter goes bad, you build up back pressure, and this is a very specific type of overheating. Your engine might not show it's really all that hot, but it's very irritable, and so it causes what's called drivability issues. And I recommend everybody get their oxygen sensors changed regularly, because a catalytic converter could last indefinitely if the engine is tuned right, and the oxygen sensors are part of it being tuned right to have the proper fuel-air mixture. But that back pressure builds up, and again, it causes shifting problems. I mean, there's got to be an awfully lot of people that thought they were having transmission issues. They bring their car to a transmission shop. They tell them, yeah, it's going to cost you $2,500, $3,500 to rebuild. And they say, crap, my car's not worth that. I'm just going to junk it. And all the car really needed was a new catalytic converter. And I'd like to give a shout out right now to a really fine shop here in Chico and called Hi-Fi Muffler. And they do a whole lot more than mufflers and catalytic converters, but everything. Steve over there, he'll hook you up. He'll give you excellent quality. You can make an appointment at an excellent price. And Lee and Steve run the place, and just awesome shop. But I mean, there's a lot of good shops. I typically have a bunch of mechanics because one guy will be really good at this, another guy is really good at that, and so it just depends on the shop. But I have a few of them. But I really like these guys for exhaust work, definitely. But it really fixed me up. You can imagine how happy I was, and I got it fixed for a price that was less than half of what I would have had to pay the dealer just for the catalytic converter. And I can't do this job myself. It's welded on. But enough about this. I wanted to get into more important issues, I guess. But, people's cars are important to them. I'm transportation, it's freedom. And myself, like other Americans, I like to be free, and part of that is transportation. I know on the Alex Jones show, David Knight, one of the reporters, is always talking about, he's very troubled by self-driving cars, but I can't see Americans, surrendering their right to control their own vehicle. I just don't, I just can't imagine it. So, I mean, there might be some of those cars that keep popping up, but I just don't see us taking to them. Maybe, a certain percentage of people will, but I just don't see it. People want to drive. I enjoy driving my vehicle very much. It's a great source of joy, really. It's fun, and I think most people are like that. That's why I know when the same reporter, David Knight, did a story on women in Saudi Arabia and how they're not allowed to drive. I thought, he almost had me in tears. These poor women having to go to these the carnivals where they got to drive the bumper cars in order to have a little fun, And it's just one of those things. The automobile is a classic American symbol that we all appreciate. But now I do want to shift gears, and no pun intended, but to talk about more important things, I wanted to talk about our quote reality as it's been foisted upon us, crammed down our throats. We don't have a choice. We're just weaned on this so-called reality. And I wanted to point out some flaws in this that are very clear, and they're really irrefutable flaws. And one of those flaws is this idea that we've got this term that's very real, and it's called planned obsolescence. Okay, we all know that's a matter of fact, and we shrug it off. Oh yeah, well, they got to sell stuff, so they got to make stuff go outdated and outmoded and all this, and so that you got to buy more. It's capitalism. Blame capitalism. And I think to myself, what does this have to do with capitalism? Okay, planned obsolescence is an animal in and of itself, okay? It's this idea that we make junk we don't want to fix. It's just like your car. It's so hard to fix, The mechanics go nuts at how tight some of these spaces they are expected to get into are. And who can? I mean, not all of them are skinny little guys. I mean, some of these guys are big, and their arms are big, and for them to fit around some of the components that are crammed into a motor is ridiculous. But you don't think if the engineers were given free rein to build these cars with the idea that I want this car to be easy to fix, so anybody can be a DIY, including the ladies out there, and save bundles. Okay, we all ought to be able to fix our own stuff, okay? And if you go online, you look at YouTube videos even, and you see all the people out there that are willing, all the, professional mechanics that are giving advice because they get enough work. These guys, most of them, if they're good, I mean, they get repeat customers, and it's just, look, the point is none of us should be worried about how many hours we get to work in the day, okay? The only reason we do is because of this unreality we're born into anyhow. So the point I'm trying to make here is this planned obsolescence is stupid. We should build stuff to be able to fix, and that's it. You get a lot less recycling, right, which is going to save a lot of energy. So it's all waste. When people junk their cars, when people junk appliances, when people junk anything, okay, because, well, it wasn't made to be fixed, because it's more expensive to fix the darn thing than it is to get a new one. And this is done intentionally. We should really ponder that and understand that's madness. Dissect the word madness. Mad. These people are mad. They're angry. They're insane. They hate humanity. And it's rubbing off on us. We're being rendered into their image and likeness. Madmen. Okay, that's it. We're angry and we're a little bit nuts because that's how you are. Like the mad bull lost its way, right? You know, and busted up the china shop sort of thing. But, you know, we understand that when you're in that state of anger, because whatever reason, you're frustrated, you can't get to the bottom of it, you can't fix things, you see things going downhill, you know they're going downhill, you know things can't end well with the national debt, and all this stuff, and you know, it just makes you want to pull your hair out, makes you want to scream. It's no wonder we get so many suicides out there. Recently, I saw a clip on the news down here in San Jose. 8 homeless people have been murdered recently, okay? They're having a rash of homeless being murdered, okay? It's not safe. Who are these monsters? It makes me want to rip my eyes out and my ears, put a bullet through my brain. I can't take it. What has Satan done to humanity? What has money done to humanity? Money and Satan, one and the same. Get it through your head. It's the root of all the evil. Satan is the root of all evil. And his power lies in the money. When we take away his power, when we take away his money, he's powerless. He's neutered. He's impotent. And this is what needs to happen. We can't handle it. We've been trying for thousands of years. Humanity has never had any amount of time to be free from money, from Satan. To this day, where's the progress? We're not making progress. Okay, this is in America. Homeless people dying out on the streets, and they're calling me bad because I don't want to turn into a third world country by bringing people in. Everybody in the world wants to come to America because the same bunch of people, this New World Order cabal, has screwed it up all over the world. They want it like that. You don't think they want Mexico?